So now we will go further to our next topic, which talks about the 7 steps to take before decorating your cake. The first step is to pick the right pan and prep it well. A shiny or light colored pan will turn out light and tender cake. So grease it well and the cake will come out intact, which will make it easier to frost. So there will be no holes to fill in. So um, choosing the right pan material ensures that the heat is distributed evenly throughout the baked goods, which is very crucial upon achieving the desired texture and flavor. It is also ensure that your baked goods turn out delicious and visually appealing. Here's the foolproof way to do the step one. First is to cut the parchment paper to fit inside the pan. So why do we need to cut the parchment paper to fit inside the pan? So it's because cutting parchment paper fits inside the baking pan. It's often done to further prevent food from sticking to the pan and to make it easier to remove the baked goods from the pan. Additionally, using the parchment paper inside a baking pan can make it easier to remove baked goods from the pan as you can simply lift the parchment paper out of the pan once the food has cooled. Secondly, coat pan with shortening. So, anong importante naman magkota og shortening sa pan? So, it's because it is a common technique in baking to prevent from sticking the pan. So, shortening is a solid fat that has a high melting point, which makes it an ideal choice for baking due to the fact that it can withstand the high temperature in the oven. Next is to coat shortening with flour. So why do we need to coat shortening with flour? It is because it prevents the food or the baked goods from sticking to the pan and ensure it that the finished product has a smooth and even surface. Next is to add a parchment paper and grease it. So why do we need why do we also need to add parchment and grease? So parchment paper used to prevent sticking and aid in even cooking of the baked goods, while grease is used to prevent sticking and add flavor and moisture to the baked goods. Lastly, add final coat of flour. So why do we need to add a final coat of flour? So by adding final coat of flour in baking is a essential technique to give baked goods a crispy crust. However, it is important to use the right amount of flour and not to overdo it, as too much flour can make the crust too thick and dry. The second step is to make sure that your cake layers turn out flat. So flat layers stack nicely. Here's how to ensure yours turns out neat. So before baking, fill each pan with the same amount of butter. It is because uh, overfilling the cake pan can cause the cake to rise unevenly and create dome shape. So fill the cake pan to about two-thirds full to prevent this from happening, and drop against the countertop to spread the butter evenly. After baking, cooling, and removing the cake from the pan, if your cake developed dome shape on top, so slice it to create a level surface. So if your cake still has a slight dome after cooling, use a serrated knife to trim the top of, of the cake layer to create a flat surface. So by following these steps, you can help to ensure that your cake layers turns out flat and even, making it easier to stock and decorate your cake. The third step is to measure for even layers. For layers cakes that call for slicing cake in half, allow the cake to cool and use a ruler for accuracy. Measure the halfway up the cake side and mark that point with a toothpick. Continue measuring and marking all around the cake. Using a long serrated knife, begin cutting the cake in half using toothpicks as your guide. meaning to say that measuring even layers can be done using ruler, leveler, or by tracing a circle into parchment paper and using it as a guide. So by taking the time to measure and ensure even layers, you can create beautiful, consistent, and delicious cake that everyone will enjoy. So next is to brush off crumbs. So this quick and easy step will help your frosting stick better. Once your cake has cooled, use your hand to brush off any loose crumbs in sticking that's sticking to the cake. Brush off the top, bottoms, and side, then set the cake on the clean surface. So, by brushing off crumbs is especially important when working with lighter colored frosting or when using intricate decorating techniques. So, by taking time to remove any loose crumbs, you can create a polished and professional looking finished product. The fifth step is to prepare your serving plate. The last thing you want to do is to move your cake after decorating. So it is the best pros on your cake stand, cake plate, or whatever serving dish you can plan to use. To keep your serving surface clean, cut 4 strips of wax paper and place around the edge of the plate. This paper burner will catch any drips and smears. After you're done decorating, you can slide the pieces out from under the cake, and you'll have to speak and span the surface. So, meaning to say that by preparing your serving plate is one of the important steps in baking as it can help to enhance the presentation of your baked goods and make them look more appealing and it will protect your cake from the damage. The six steps is to add a crumb coat. A crumb coat is a thin first layer of frosting that seals in the crumbs. After your cake has cooled, apply the layer of frosting without worry that crumbs are getting mixed into it. Allow the crumb coat to set and those crumbs will be trapped in the first layer of frosting so they don't mix into your final decorative layer. So meaning to say that the crumb coat is important. It is because it helps to prevent any loose crumbs from getting mixed into the final layer of the frosting na makahelp na ma-avoid ang rough uh, unprofessional looking cakes. This also help to provide good base for final layer of frosting, ensuring that it adheres properly and create smooth and even finish. Lastly is to choose your look. Will you frost your cake with flawlessly smooth sides and sharp edges, or cover it with an entire garden scene of pipe rosettes, leaves, and grass? Think it through and collect the tools you'll need. Then we'll show you how to bring your design to life. So in summary, choosing a good look for a cake design is an important step because it can enhance the aesthetics and presentation of cakes, allowing you to be creative and and it builds a good reputation as a baker. Ano na lang.